Raider Nation, let's talk. The offseason has been busy, and today we're diving into something exciting. We're breaking down the biggest winners and losers from last season's Las Vegas Raiders roster. Now, I'm not talking about new draft picks or free agents. This is all about the players who were already wearing the silver and black. A lot has changed since Pete Carroll and John Spytek stepped in. Some players just got lucky, and others, not so much. Why now? Because off-season workouts start today, April 8th. That means football is finally making its way back. I don't know about you, but I'm seriously fired up to see what this new staff can do. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Let's get started with our list of off-season winners, beginning with the offense. Number 5, Tre Tucker. Right now, Tucker is sitting behind Jakobi Meyers as the number 2 wide receiver. That's a big step up. And with Geno Smith now under center, Tucker has a great shot to shine. Sure, the Raiders might still draft another wide receiver, maybe even 2, but the fact that they haven't signed any in free agency tells us one thing. Tre Tucker is a winner. Number 4, Jordan Meredith. This guy is making moves. The Raiders brought him back this offseason, and now he's in a real battle to become the starting left guard. He's competing with names like Alex Kappa, JPJ, and Dylan Parham. And yet, Meredith is right in the mix. That's impressive. Add in the fact that he had one of the better PFF grades among offensive linemen last season, and it's clear Meredith is winning this offseason. Let's keep it rolling with our off-season winners. And yes, Jordan Meredith stays on this list for a reason. Right now, the battle for the left guard spot is wide open. If the Raiders go with Alex Kappa, it doesn't mean Dylan Parham automatically locks down a starting job. The coaching staff clearly likes what Meredith brings, and re-signing him showed just how much they value him. He's in the mix, and that makes him a real threat to earn that starting role. Number 3, DJ Glaze. Here's a name that might surprise a few people. Even though this regime didn't draft him, Glaze was already on John Spytek's radar. Back when Spytek was in Tampa Bay, DJ Glaze had a top 30 visit with the Buccaneers. So the interest was real even back then. Now, he's standing as the starting right tackle, and that's huge. The Raiders could have signed someone else at that position. They had chances, but they didn't. That tells us a lot about what they think of DJ Glaze. Spytek always talks about building strong in the trenches, and keeping Glaze in that starting spot proves he believes in the kid. That's why Glaze is a winner. Number 2, Brock Bowers. No doubt about this one. Let's get straight to the point. Bowers now has Geno Smith throwing him the ball. That alone changes everything. Geno is a big upgrade over Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And when you match Bowers' talent with Chip Kelly's offensive mind, that's a dangerous combination. Last season, Bowers didn't get great passes thrown his way. Out of 36 tight ends with enough targets, he ranked 29th in terms of pass accuracy. Now imagine him working with the most accurate quarterback in the NFL over the past 4 years. Yeah, Geno holds that title. With better passes, a creative offense, and a new QB, Bowers is set to explode. He's not just a winner this offseason. He might become one of the most important pieces of this team. Number 1, Jakobi Meyers. This one might not shock you, but it's true. Jakobi Meyers is the biggest winner on offense. With Davante Adams possibly getting fewer targets or more double coverage, Meyers has a golden chance to step up. Geno Smith fits perfectly with the kind of receiver Jakobi is. Quick, smart, reliable. He's also playing in a contract year, which means he has every reason to ball out. The Raiders might even think about locking him in with a new deal before the season kicks off. Oh, and don't forget, he didn't drop a single pass last year. That kind of consistency is rare, and it's why Jakobi Meyers is at the top of our winners list. Let's take one more moment to appreciate Jakobi Meyers. 0 drops last season. 0. He ranked 63rd out of 103 receivers in terms of target accuracy, meaning he wasn't always getting the cleanest passes. But that's where things change this year. Now he's got Geno Smith, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Put that together with Myers' sharp route running and solid hands, and we could be looking at his best season yet. Will he repeat 87 catches? Maybe not. That was a heavy workload. But around 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 8 to 9 touchdowns, that's absolutely in reach, especially with the way this offense is starting to take shape. But now it's time to flip the script. Let's talk about a few players who haven't had the best offseason. Yes, we're talking about the offensive losers from this Las Vegas Raiders roster. Coming in at number 3, Dylan Parham. Now, I want to be fair. I'm not ready to call him a complete loser here, but things aren't looking as secure as many thought. A few months ago, most of us assumed Parham would have a starting role on the offensive line. That doesn't feel like a lock anymore. With the team bringing in names like Alex Kappa and Jordan Meredith seriously pushing for a spot, Parham's starting job is now in question. This new regime values competition, and it's clear they're not afraid to shake things up. So, unless Parham makes a big statement during camp and workouts, he could find himself watching from the sidelines instead of leading in the trenches. Let's continue breaking down the offseason offensive losers for the Las Vegas Raiders. And at number 2, it's Thayer Munford. Now, Munford has been a fan favorite for a while, and there's no denying he has potential. But his late-season struggles last year hurt his stock. Badly. What's even more concerning? He's being left out of the conversation. When General Manager John Spytek talked about the offensive line recently, Munford's name didn't even come up. That's a big red flag. At this point, he's not even in the top 6 rotation. Maybe 7th, maybe 8th. With the Raiders expected to draft another lineman, Munford could be pushed even further down the depth chart. And when it comes to decisions between guys like Alex Kappa, Jordan Meredith, Dylan Parham, and even rookie DJ Glaze, Munford is clearly on the bubble. He's going to have to fight with everything he's got just to stay on this roster. But the biggest loser of the offseason? That title goes to Zamir White. The Raiders had high hopes for Zeus. And sure, there were flashes of brilliance. You'd see a powerful run and think, this is the guy. But too often it was followed by missed blocks, poor ball security, or just plain inconsistency. In a league where running backs have to earn every snap, Zamir didn't deliver. And now the writing's on the wall. The Raiders brought in veteran Raheem Mostert. They're likely to draft 1 or maybe even 2 running backs this year. And here's something telling. Another back on the roster, Dylan Lobb, had a top 30 visit with Spytek and the Buccaneers last year. That connection matters. So, if it's a decision between Lobb and White, don't be surprised if the team moves on from Zeus. Last year, the Raiders had the worst rushing attack in the entire NFL. Zamir White started for a portion of that season. That alone speaks volumes. Coming up next, we'll flip over to the defensive side and highlight some players who've quietly won this offseason battle. But first, we'll start with number 5, a name you might not expect. Let's dive into the defensive winners of the offseason for the Las Vegas Raiders. And some of these names might surprise you. Starting off at number 5, Amari Gaynor. This guy's not just working hard, he's working smart. While others are training in the shadows, Gaynor is surrounding himself with elite company, including none other than Max Crosby. That alone speaks volumes. Gaynor might not be the flashiest name on the roster, but when it comes to football IQ and leadership potential, he's stepping up in a big way. In a linebacker room that still lacks depth and true identity, Gaynor is making moves. Quietly, but effectively. The battle for linebacker snaps is wide open, and he's positioning himself to capitalize. Coming in at number 4, Trey Taylor, free safety. Some might raise an eyebrow seeing him on this list, but look closer and you'll understand. The Raiders still haven't locked down a solid starting free safety, and while Taylor hasn't made huge headlines yet, he fits exactly what this team is building: discipline, toughness, and culture. He's the type of player who shows up early, stays late, and works relentlessly. Plus, Taylor's connection with decision-maker John Spytek from a prior top 30 visit shows there's trust. That kind of belief from the front office? It matters, and it makes Taylor a clear winner this offseason. At number 3, defensive tackle John Ulu. Here's a name climbing the ranks quickly. Some around the league even believe that if the season started today, Ulu might line up next to Christian Wilkins as a starter. While that's still debatable, what isn't up for debate is the faith this coaching staff has in him. Replacing veteran John Jenkins with Leki Fotu sends a loud message. The Raiders are betting on younger guys like Ulu to step up. And with a connection to Spytech from the past, Ulu's value inside the building keeps rising. Don't sleep on him heading into training camp. Now, number 2, cornerback Demarion Richardson. Here's a wild card with massive upside. Even though Richardson wasn't drafted by this regime, his build and play style are exactly what defensive coordinator Patrick Graham and head coach Antonio Pierce love: long, physical, and fast. After moving on from both Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones, the Raiders didn't just make cap space, they made room for someone to step in. While the signing of Eric Stokes adds competition, Richardson is a name to watch closely. The coaching staff believes in Jacorian Bennett too, but Richardson is built for this scheme, and this could be the year he proves it. Let's continue with the final name on our Raiders offseason winners list, and this one stands above the rest. The biggest winner on defense? It's Max Crosby, and frankly, it's not even close. Why? Because not only did Crosby get the contract extension he earned, but this extension proves something bigger. He's now the heart and soul of the Raiders' defense, long term. Crosby didn't just ask for more money. He asked for consistency, stability, loyalty. He wanted the defensive line to stay together, not be rebuilt from scratch every year. And guess what? The front office listened. They kept guys like Adam Butler and Malcolm Kuntze around. They gave defensive coordinator Patrick Graham a raise. They made Rob Leonard a priority. All of these moves? They line up exactly with what Crosby wanted. And that's no coincidence. When your franchise star speaks, and the front office actually responds, you know who holds real power in the locker room. Max Crosby isn't just winning off the field. He's shaping the culture of this entire defense. Now, let's shift to something tougher: the losers on defense. This list wasn't easy to build, but one name that can't be ignored is Tyree Wilson. There's no way around it. Wilson is heading into his third new coaching staff in just 3 years. That kind of instability can derail a young player's development. And while there's no questioning his talent, the lack of continuity is a major challenge. The addition of linebacker Devin White only tightens the competition, and that raises big questions about where Wilson fits into the future of this defensive front. He's got potential, but now he needs to turn that potential into production. Fast. Let's talk about a name that's been floating in every Raiders conversation lately: Tyree Wilson. The signing of Devin White may have brought excitement to the defense, but it also casts a shadow over Wilson's role. John Spytech called White's arrival a resurgence. That's a strong word, and when you use it for an athletic linebacker who can play on the edge, you're hinting at a role that overlaps heavily with what Tyree Wilson was expected to do. Add in some buzz around Jalyn Walker, it's clear Wilson's path to becoming a dominant presence is now more complicated than ever. Moving on, another player who took a hit this offseason is Tommy Eichenberg. Now, nobody likes to put a young linebacker on this kind of list, especially one with grit and work ethic. But after the signings of Devin White and Elandon Roberts, the writing is on the wall. Eichenberg feels like the odd man out, not because of talent, but simply because he wasn't brought in by this current staff. And when you're watching the Raiders show strong interest in drafting another linebacker, maybe as early as round 2 or 3, that puts even more pressure on someone like Eichenberg to prove he belongs. But the player facing the biggest uphill battle this offseason? It's defensive tackle Matthew Butler. Let's be honest, Butler hasn't shown enough, and more importantly, there are serious concerns within the organization, not just about athleticism, but about something even more crucial: his love for the game. And when a coach like Pete Carroll hears doubts about a player's passion for football, that's usually the end of the line. Look at the moves the Raiders have made. Adam Butler was a top priority. John Ulu is rising fast. They signed Leki Fotu. They're even evaluating more defensive tackles like Mason Graham. All signs point to a lack of confidence in players like Matthew Butler. At this point, his roster spot is in real danger. To wrap things up, let's quickly review the biggest offseason losers on the Raiders' defense. Tyree Wilson, still trying to find his fit. Tommy Eichenberg, pushed back in the pecking order. Matthew Butler, on the edge of falling out completely. These aren't easy conversations, but they're the ones that define a season before it even starts.